Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your week ahead taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. With that said, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the website addressed below. And before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So this week, your key to the week is the Judgment card, right? So this kind of energy is going to be pervading and permeating your entire week. This could be a week where you are very pensive. It could be a week where you are thinking a lot about your past. Maybe you are delving a lot into, for some of you, this could even be about ancestor work. You know, the thing with the Judgment card, and especially in this, it's called the sleepers, but it actually talks about your ancestors. It talks about your ancestry and your past. You could be delving into this kind of thing this week. So family could become really relevant for you all of a sudden. Not all of a sudden, but you kind of get my drift. Like this week, it could be a lot more to the fore for you, and you may be noticing that is kind of a thing. It's something that's sort of there or pervading. It could be a week where things bubble up in your family, in your closest connections. Maybe, you know, it's interesting as well because you've got the new moon in Gemini happening, you know, at the beginning of this week. Kind of at the beginning of this week. You're off the tail end of it, and that's kind of taking you, almost like taking you into that, it's, you know, that's your 7th house effectively, right? So it's kind of right opposite you. So you could be finding a lot of stuff coming up this week. Maybe you're wanting to move in new directions, but you're having to address the past. Maybe you're having some really deep and meaningful conversations this week. You could find that any and all connections that you have, whether personal or, you know, not necessarily professional. I think this is going to be more about your family or your loved one, or, you know, or your partner. So your close sort of one-on-one relationships, this sort of stuff could very well be starting to bring up now some of the, you know, maybe feelings that you've been holding down or clamping down, maybe feelings that they've been holding down and clamping down. At any rate, this could be a fantastic time for you to have a heart-to-heart. This could be a great time for you to really get to the bottom of, you know, if there's any long-held hatchets or if there's any sort of, you know, unspoken resentments or anything like that. And, you know, a lot of people will probably hear that and think, oh, you know, that's not very positive. No, sometimes it is. Sometimes, you know, that having those conversations or going into that space, it allows you to free up the emotion that might be congealed or blocked there. And by doing so, you pave the way for new energy to come in, but also for transformation of the relationship or the contact that you have with that person. So let's check out your cards for the week ahead for your actions and your options. This week, Sagittarius, you got the Page of Wands, right? So you could be getting a message this week. Oh, actually, it looks like you are sending a message, right? It also looks like this is going to be a deeply creative week for you. Now, this isn't, when I say creative, this isn't about you picking up a paintbrush, although it might for some of you. What I'm talking about here is this is about you getting really clear on how it is that you're moving forward, and especially off the back of conversations like this. I'll be really honest with you, because it is the Page of Wands, Page of Fire, right? You are a fire sign. This week, you might notice that you yourself, and not necessarily in a bad way, but you might notice yourself regress a little bit this week. Maybe something comes up and it sort of triggers an emotion or an old sort of thought pattern or an old response to something. It could see you getting really, you know, and it could see you getting really creative about letting that go, or maybe even having the bravery to go in and have that conversation and say, wow, you know what, this is stuff that I'm still holding on to. This is stuff that I still really feel like I'm unable to express, or maybe it holds me back in some way, shape or form that I haven't really been able to speak about up until now. There's a lot of bravery here. You are a very brave sign anyway. But it does look like this week there's going to be a part of you, it's almost like your inner child is coming up, is bubbling up, and it will be in response to something that either a family member says or does, but it's going to pave the way for you to have the dialogue, right? That's the really important part here. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Eight of Cups, right? So look at this. By being brave enough to go into that space, to have those conversations, to, you know, and when I say this, it's not about blame or actually shaming people, but naming and shaming the feelings themselves. That might be a really important part of this week's process of you walking away from some sort of, some sort of inner emotional conflict. Because this comes up in your communications and conversations, do expect to have deep and meaningful conversations this week. It does look like you're having, you can have a moment. This could be a week where you have a breakthrough when it comes to your emotional outlook, when it comes to your communication style, when it comes to taking your power back in the words that you use. Maybe you haven't been able to do that in a situation because you weren't sure about how to formulate the words. Or maybe you didn't, in this specific situation, you didn't feel like you had the courage or the bravery. Well, you find it this week and you're able to express yourself in a way that truly helps you move forward in some way, shape or form. This could be a really powerful and very profound week for you if you're willing to go into the depths and you're willing to do the work. For your money and materials, you have the Six of Wands, right? So this is great. Your everyday experience this week, right? So your everyday experience is going to be one of abundance. Whether that is you have a delectable meal every day that you make, and you're feeling the beauty and the gratitude in that. Whether you are able to enjoy your garden if you have one. Whether you are just thankful for the life that you have. This is on a grassroots level. All of your needs over the course of this week when it comes to your money, your materials, your home, your health, your finances, all of your needs are met this week. It's like everything that you need is there. And this week you're going to be really vocal about this. I know there's one Sagittarius that's watching this at the moment. Who wrote a whole book about gratitude, right? So I know she'll definitely be feeling this, but it really will be something that you are not necessarily even just harboring. It will be something that comes up from an inner sort of place. And, in response to a lot of what's taking place, it looks like there's some real transmutation of soul energy going on here. And when you move into that space of gratitude, you open the door for I don't know what I was going to say there. You open the door for far more abundance to make its way into your life. And then finally, for the Nine of Swords, you have for your love and relations, you have the Nine of Swords. Now, one thing that you need to consider here is maybe, just maybe, right? Like I said, there is going to be a moment where you'll probably regress this week. And it's really important that you don't sort of regress to the point of being a screaming harpy. It just kind of loses it for the sake of losing it. This could be a really intense week for you because there's a lot going on inside. And when it comes to your love and relations, for those of you that are single and seeing somebody, I'll be really honest with you, it kind of feels like this person may be a bit of a trigger for you. Now, what that's going to do is open up, this ability to speak about it with the person that created that within you. That is going to be a really powerful way to use this energy. But if I'm honest, those of you that are welcoming in somebody new, I just kind of feel like this week you probably want to keep a low profile. There's too much going on with you at a depth. If this sort of person or this connection that you already have is one that you feel safe and secure enough to divulge such sort of heavy stuff about yourself and about your past, because you don't do that when you first meet someone, right? Like, hi, this is my trauma, these are my baggages, how are you? You just wouldn't do it. Well, some people would, but do you know what I mean? So yeah, consider that. For those of you that are partnered, one thing that it looks like here is as well, it looks like you are doing the reassuring of your partner this week. It looks like they might be having something go on, possibly something to do with their work or their finances, but it could be some sort of news that they get. And so for that reason, it looks like you're being the strong one, right? This week you're saying, you know what, we're going to be all right, just calm yourself. It's kind of like where you can see this person is making more of the situation than it actually is. And there might be a part of you that is able to kind of talk them down off of off the ceiling, so to speak. So yeah, that is your week in a nutshell. It looks like a really powerful one, very deeply transformative. Use it well, use it wisely. I hope this has helped you or assisted you in some way, shape or form. And with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know if it's not too personal in the comments how it goes. Take care and I'll see you soon.